Galileo's experiment. By observing the motion of objects on an inclined plane, Galileo argued that the objects move with the constant speed when no force acts on them. When the marble is released from left, it would roll down the slope and go up on the opposite side to the same height from which it was released. If the inclinations of the planes on both sides are equal, then the marble will climb the same distance that it covered while rolling down. If the angle of inclination of the right side plane were gradually decreased, then the marble would travel further distances till it reaches the original height. Again, if the right side plane were made horizontal, that is, if the slope is reduced to 0, the marble would continue to travel forever trying to reach the same height that it was released from. The unbalanced forces on the marble in this case are 0. It thus suggests that an unbalanced external force is required to change the motion of the marble, but no net force is needed to sustain the uniform motion of the marble. As we know that in practical situations it is difficult to achieve a zero unbalanced force. This is because of the presence of force of friction, which is acting opposite to the direction of motion. Thus, practically, the marble stops after traveling some distance. Newton's laws of motion. Newton further studied Galileo's ideas on force and motion and presented three fundamental laws that govern the motion of objects. These three laws are known as Newton's laws of motion. These laws are Newton's first law of motion, Newton's second law of motion, and Newton's third law of motion. Let's discuss them one by one. Newton's first law of motion. Newton's first law of motion states that an object remains in a state of rest or of uniform motion unless and until an unbalanced external force is applied on it. In other words, we can say that all objects resist a change in their state of rest or of motion. The natural tendency of objects to resist a change in their state of rest or motion is called inertia. That is why the first law of motion is also known as the law of inertia. Let's discuss some examples of first law. Certain experiences that we come across while traveling in a car can be explained on the basis of the law of inertia. When we travel in a car and driver applies brakes suddenly, we always tend to fall forward. Due to which? Due to the inertia of motion. Let's study in detail. Now, we tend to remain at rest with respect to the seat until the driver applies a braking force to stop the car. With the application of brakes, the car slows down, but our body tends to continue in the same state of motion because of its inertia. However, a sudden application of brakes may thus cause injury to us by impact or collision with the panels in front. Therefore, to avoid such accidents, safety belts are generally worn. Safety belts exert a force on our body to make the forward motion slower. Similarly, when we are standing in a bus and the bus starts suddenly, we tend to fall backwards due to inertia of rest. Initially, when the bus was at rest, the body of the person which is standing on the bus is also at rest. Now, as the bus starts suddenly, the body, the person's body is still in the state of rest, and due to the inertia of rest, the person tends to fall backwards. When a car makes a sharp turn at high speed, we tend to get thrown to one side. This can again be explained on the basis of law of inertia. We tend to continue in our straight line motion. When an unbalanced force is applied by the engine to change the direction of motion of the car, we slip to one side of the seat due to the inertia of our body. Thus, we can say that a body will remain at rest unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. Now, how do the inertia and the mass are related to each other? As already mentioned, inertia is the natural tendency of an object to resist a change in its state of motion or of rest. That means if the object is at rest, it tends to remain at rest, and if it is moving, it tends to keep moving. This property of an object is called its inertia. The inertia of a body is measured by the magnitude of force required to change the state of the body. That means the force which is required to change the state of heavier body is much larger than the force required to change the state of lighter body. Why is this so? This is because the mass of heavier body is larger than the mass of lighter body. Quantitatively, the inertia of an object is measured by its mass. Therefore, we can say that the mass of an object is a measure of its inertia. Or, in other words, we can also say that mass of an object is proportional to its inertia. That means more is the mass of an object, more will be its inertia. That is why it is easier to push an empty box than a box full of books, as the empty box is having less mass than that of box which is full of books. Similarly, if we kick a football, it flies away. But what happens if we kick a stone of the same size with equal force? It hardly moves. Also, we may get an injury in our foot while doing so due to its heavier mass.